Nestled high in the Pyrenees Mountains between France and Spain, the Principality of Andorra represents one of Europe's most fascinating political anomalies. This tiny nation of just 468 square kilometers has survived for over 7 centuries, through a unique feudal arrangement that has evolved into one of the world's most distinctive constitutional systems. The history of Andorra is a testament to diplomatic ingenuity, cultural resilience, and the power of compromise in maintaining sovereignty against overwhelming odds. The valleys that would become Andorra have been inhabited since prehistoric times, with archaeological evidence suggesting human presence dating back to the Neolithic period. The region's strategic location along Trans-Pyrenean trade routes made it valuable despite its challenging mountainous terrain. Celtic tribes, followed by Romans, left their mark on the area, though the remote location meant that external control was often nominal. The name Andorra itself likely derives from the Iberian word andorial, meaning land covered with bushes, or possibly from the Arabic aldera, meaning the wooded place. During the Visigothic period and subsequent Moorish conquests of the Iberian Peninsula, the isolated mountain valleys provided refuge for Christian populations fleeing Islamic rule. The legendary foundation of Andorra is attributed to Charlemagne, who supposedly granted a charter to the Andorran people in return for their assistance in fighting the Moors. While historically questionable, this legend became central to Andorran identity and was later incorporated into the national anthem, which begins with El Gran Carlemany mon père, the great Charlemagne my father. The true foundation of modern Andorra dates to 1278 with the signing of the Peerage, an agreement that remains one of the oldest surviving constitutional documents in Europe. This feudal contract emerged from a dispute between the Spanish Bishop of Urgell and the French Count of Foix over control of Andorran territories. The conflict had its roots in the 11th century when Andorran valleys came under the protection of the Spanish bishopric of Urgell. In 1208, the bishop granted overlordship to a Catalan noble family, but through marriage and inheritance, these rights eventually passed to the French Count of Foix. The resulting territorial dispute threatened to destabilize the region until a brilliant diplomatic solution emerged. The Peerage established the principle of joint sovereignty, creating the world's only remaining diarchy. Under this agreement, both the Bishop of Urgell and the Count of Foix would serve as co-princes of Andorra, sharing governmental authority and receiving tribute from the Andorran people. This arrangement allowed Andorrans to maintain their autonomy while ensuring protection from both French and Spanish powers. The tribute system known as the Questia required Andorrans to pay alternating annual payments to their co-princes, 460 pesetas, 6 hams, 6 cheeses, and 6 live chickens to the Bishop of Urgell in odd-numbered years, and 960 francs and 12 capons to the French co-prince in even-numbered years. This modest tribute continues to this day, making it one of the world's oldest continuously operating international agreements. Following the Peerage, Andorra developed a unique governmental structure that balanced local autonomy with external oversight. The Consell de la Terra, Council of the Land, first documented in 1419, emerged as the representative body of the Andorran people. This institution evolved from informal assemblies of local leaders into a structured parliamentary system. During the medieval period, Andorran society was primarily pastoral, with the economy based on livestock herding, particularly sheep and cattle. The challenging terrain limited agricultural development, but Andorrans became skilled in mountain agriculture, developing terraced farming techniques that maximized the use of available arable land. The co-principality system proved remarkably stable during this period. When the French co-principality passed from the Counts of Foix to the Kings of Navarre and eventually to the French crown, the arrangement continued unchanged. Similarly, the Spanish side remained with the bishops of Urgell, providing continuity that helped preserve Andorran traditions and autonomy. Trade became increasingly important during the late medieval period. Andorra's location on smuggling routes between France and Spain provided economic opportunities, while the country's neutral status made it attractive to merchants seeking to avoid various taxes and regulations imposed by larger neighbors. The early modern period brought significant challenges to Andorra's unique political arrangement. The Protestant Reformation created tensions when the French co-prince became Protestant while the Spanish co-prince remained Catholic. But the peerage system proved flexible enough to accommodate these religious differences. The most serious threat came during the Spanish War of Succession, 1701 to 1714, when Andorra found itself caught between competing French and Spanish claims. The country's survival strategy involved careful neutrality and diplomatic maneuvering, establishing patterns that would serve it well in future conflicts. Economic development during this period was limited by Andorra's geographic isolation and small population. The country remained largely pastoral, with some mining activities and small-scale manufacturing. However, Andorrans began developing their reputation for political pragmatism and commercial adaptability that would prove crucial in later centuries. The French Revolution posed another existential challenge. When revolutionaries abolished the monarchy and rejected feudal obligations, Andorra temporarily lost its French co-prince. However, Napoleon Bonaparte, recognizing the strategic value of maintaining stability in the Pyrenees, restored the co-principality arrangement, demonstrating the system's practical utility even in revolutionary times. The 19th century marked a period of gradual modernization for Andorra. The Industrial Revolution had limited direct impact due to the country's geography and size, but increased trade and communication with France and Spain brought new ideas and opportunities. In 1866, following disputes over taxation and governance, Andorra experienced its closest approach to revolution. The Andorran Revolution led to significant reforms, including the creation of a more representative Consell General, General Council, and the codification of Andorran laws. These reforms, while maintaining the co-principality system, established the foundation for modern Andorran democracy. The late 19th century saw improvements in transportation and communication that began to reduce Andorra's isolation. The construction of better roads connecting the country to France and Spain facilitated trade and began the slow process of economic diversification that would accelerate in the following century. Education also began to develop during this period, though it remained limited. The establishment of schools, supported by both co-princes, helped preserve Catalan language and culture while introducing French and Spanish influences that would shape modern Andorran identity. The 20th century brought unprecedented challenges and changes to Andorra. During World War I, the country maintained strict neutrality, but its small size and strategic location made this position precarious. Andorra's neutral status was respected by all belligerents, establishing a precedent for future conflicts. The interwar period saw the beginning of Andorra's transformation from a primarily pastoral society to a modern economy. Tourism began to develop as improved transportation made the country more accessible. The duty-free status that Andorra had enjoyed for centuries suddenly became economically significant as consumer goods became more standardized and taxation more uniform in neighboring countries. World War II presented the greatest challenge in Andorran history. The country again declared neutrality, but the German occupation of France and Franco's alignment with the Axis powers placed enormous pressure on this position. Remarkably, Andorra managed to maintain its independence throughout the war, though it was forced to make concessions to all parties. The country provided refuge for resistance fighters and Allied servicemen while also allowing limited German access to Spanish territory. The post-war period brought rapid economic transformation. Tourism exploded as European prosperity returned, and Andorra's duty-free status attracted shoppers from across the region. The development of ski resorts in the 1960s and 1970s transformed the economy from agricultural to service-based, bringing prosperity but also challenging traditional Andorran society. Banking also became important during this period. Andorra's banking secrecy laws and favorable tax regime attracted international capital, though this would later create diplomatic complications with European Union efforts to combat tax evasion. The most significant political development in modern Andorran history came in 1993 with the adoption of the current constitution, which formalized Andorra as a sovereign principality while maintaining the co-prince system. This constitution established a parliamentary democracy with a clear separation of powers, fundamental rights protections, and modern governmental structures. The constitutional process was driven by Andorra's desire to join international organizations and establish formal diplomatic relations. The Constitution allowed Andorra to join the United Nations in 1993 and subsequently participate in various international bodies, while maintaining its unique political character. European Union relations became increasingly complex as Andorra's economy became more integrated with European markets. The country negotiated various agreements with the EU regarding customs union, monetary cooperation, and regulatory alignment while struggling to maintain its traditional advantages in taxation and banking secrecy. The 21st century has brought new challenges requiring adaptation of Andorra's traditional strategies. European Union pressure to eliminate banking secrecy and tax advantages has forced economic diversification efforts. The country has worked to develop new sectors including technology, finance, and high-value tourism while maintaining its appeal as a business-friendly environment. The COVID-19 pandemic presented particular challenges for a country so dependent on tourism and cross-border commerce. However, Andorra's experience with adaptation and its strong institutions helped it navigate this crisis while maintaining its essential character. Climate change poses long-term challenges for Andorra's ski-based tourism industry, prompting efforts to develop year-round tourism offerings and diversify the economy further. The country has also become increasingly active in environmental protection efforts, recognizing that its natural beauty is fundamental to its economic model. Throughout its history, Andorra has maintained a distinct cultural identity despite pressures from larger neighbors. Catalan remains the official language, though French, Spanish, and Portuguese are also widely spoken, reflecting the country's immigrant population and international connections. Traditional festivals, architecture, and customs persist alongside modern developments, creating a unique blend that attracts visitors while maintaining local identity. The country has successfully balanced preservation of traditional culture with adaptation to modern realities. Andorra's history demonstrates the power of diplomatic innovation, cultural flexibility, and strategic adaptation in maintaining independence. The co-principality system, created in medieval times to resolve a territorial dispute, has evolved into a modern constitutional democracy while preserving its essential character. The country's survival through 7 centuries of European conflicts, revolutions, and transformations offers lessons about the importance of pragmatic neutrality, institutional flexibility, and the value of compromise in international relations. As Andorra faces 21st century challenges from globalization, climate change, and economic transformation, its history suggests that adaptive strategies based on dialogue, innovation, and respect for tradition will continue to serve this remarkable microstate well. Today's Andorra, with its 79,000 inhabitants, modern economy, and active international engagement, remains true to the principles established in the 1278 Peerage. maintaining sovereignty through cooperation, preserving identity through adaptation, and thriving through diplomatic skill rather than military power.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging historical content.